For the record, the odds are nearly identical. As of this morning, Lions plus 1,000 to win the Super Bowl. The Tigers are plus 950. It's about perspective. We pit them against each other in our first Detroit head-to-head. Ticket Texter says, what about Detroit basketball? We're going to get to the Pistons in our second head-to-head at 9 o'clock.
This is curious, and I really do believe that this is more a function of, do you believe that the Lions, if they meet the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, not that they would be favored, but can they win that game? I think they can. And if you look at, okay, if they make the Super Bowl, whether it's Kansas City, Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, are they going to be favored to win that game? I mean, who knows what happens at that point, but I don't know that they're going to be favored, but can they win? Yes. And I don't know. We've already seen a head-to-head with the Dodgers and the Tigers. Now, things change. Injuries happen. I think it's more of an obstacle for the Tigers to beat the Dodgers in a 7-game series than those matchups that I just talked about with the Lions.
In the NFL, I feel like the Lions are in a tier of teams that are Super Bowl contenders. Yeah. No one jumped out and had a great offseason to cement themselves as the prohibitive favorite.
Right.
The Lions with Aiden and a healthy McNeil in the second half of the season will have a puncher's chance against all of these teams. In baseball, there is one team that stands and towers above all else. It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're not on the same tier, same level as them. So I think it's a steeper climb. We're splitting hairs according to the odds.
Right.
But I think the Lions have more talent on the field, and I think their competition is more in line with them than in baseball.
So I think I agree with you on the talent thing. The Lions do have more talent than the Tigers right now. But I think the nature of the sport, I think you guys are making it a given that the Dodgers are going to be sitting there waiting, and I don't agree with that at all.
They're going to mess around.
Just 2 years ago, the Diamondbacks represented the National League with 84 wins. It's the nature of the sport. That does not happen in football. Maybe once every 20 years, like the Arizona Cardinals when they went 9-7 and got to the Super Bowl, because somebody knocked out somebody else then. I actually think the law of averages in baseball is actually that the hardest team won't be waiting there. Aaron Judge, if you're going to play the Yankees, he has a playoff history. Bring it. Bring it right now.
Yeah, okay, but then same thing. You got to play the Guardians, and there's a playoff history that goes the other way.
Might not have to play them. I don't even know if they're going to be in.
Well, okay, fine. But you brought up that Jared Goff had his collapse moment last year, and it concerns you. I don't hear you saying the same about Scooble, who gave up the grand slam and a got to have a game 5.
And that's fair game, yeah. I'm going to give Scooble maybe a little bit rope here because, first off, I think he's better at what he does than Goff.
He is.
Secondly, that was Scooble's first postseason appearance, and let's see him play in the playoffs again.
But Goff has a track record in the playoffs of getting to an NFC title game in this city with good playoff performances, plural. This is a pivotal year for Goff. I think you've soured on him much more than even you expected me to.
He has warts, okay? Look, you can win with him. I do think you can win a Super Bowl with him. I'm not taking it that far yet, but I'm so mad at myself for last year from the Houston game, okay? When he threw the 5 picks, the Lions won that game despite him, and we decided to take the destiny card here, right? At that point, that was the game where we thought this was destiny, that they were going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it showed up in the Commander game, and it got completely glossed over for the most part because the defense was so bad and they had excuses. So the Bills and Texans games merged in the Commander game. But Goff deserves some blame for that too. And I just don't think I can – it's hard for me to envision, at least this year, with this defense and a first-year DC – I've always said that everything needs to be right around Goff. I've always said that, Jim. You know that.
Yeah.
John, dating back, I've always said you've got to have everything just right. And I don't think everything's just right this year. So he goes on the road, faces pressure against a team like Philly. Maybe even the Niners are back at it this year. They are favored to win that division. I just don't know.
So just some of the response we have in the ticket text, and then we'll get to the phones. Give me the Tigers. I have zero faith in the Lions. I've had my heart broken too many times. Wyatt in a truck. We had 2 shots at the Super Bowl already. The window has closed. It's not signed Mike Greenberg, but I've heard the take before. I think they have another couple years with the current roster.
It's so young, and they have not yet had to make that decision on who to keep and who not to keep.
And by the way, I would say the Tigers have the same thing until we get confirmation that Scooble's extended. They are also living in a 2-year window. I think this question is so fair. Both teams have a glaring a perceived glaring need, edge with the Lions and a right-handed stick third base for the Tigers. Both are in the mix to win it. It's just a question of who you think has the better chance to do it. And we go to Q in Detroit. Q, good morning. You're on 97.1.
Good morning, fellas. How you guys doing today?
What's up?
Good.
So, look, I got the Lions winning the Super Bowl before the Tigers win the World Series. And I'm going to start with Dan Campbell. I believe in Dan Campbell. I believe he's a leader, man. I think he's going to get those coordinators up the code, make sure that they know what they're doing. And honestly, I think the defense is going to be better this year because you look at all the man we played last year, hopefully this coordinator sprinkle in some zone because we was getting killed last year with the man. So I don't think Aaron Glenn was a good coordinator, to be honest with you.
I
disagree.
disagree.
Like you said, everything had to be right around Jared Goff. The defense was never right. So, and we still made it to the NFC Championship game. Still dominated last year with a 15-2 record. So I think this is going to be a bounce back year for Jared Goff as well. He got a chip on his shoulder. He seemed to play better when he got a chip on his shoulder. Hopefully everybody's not still screaming Jared Goff everywhere because he don't deserve that. But I think the Lions can win the Super Bowl, and I don't think our window closed at all. Like you said, the team's still young. So that's where I think the Lions definitely have a better roster. So that's where I stand.
That's a good place to ultimately put your confidence in. Who's got better players? You know, A.J. Hinch is, you could argue, the better manager because he's had to do it kind of with smoke and mirrors and wizardry, and I wouldn't want to dismiss anything he's done, but Dan Campbell's a great coach in his own right and has the better roster between the two teams. And there's not that one big, bad, untouchable team.
Which is part of, we're talking about apples and oranges when we're talking about the salary cap and what the Dodgers can do, what the Yankees do, the Mets do versus the Tigers. And then in football, hey, everybody's on the same playing field. It's how you manage those funds. And it's really more so about your quarterback.
Let me throw a question at you guys. If
Yeah.
the Tigers add a big right-handed bat at the deadline, and it doesn't have to be your boy.
Going over to the button, but yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't have to be your boy. Would you change your answer?
How big, like a player of that significance?
Tigers continue to play about at this level.
They're like 100-win club, and they add a
95-win
well,
club.
they're pacing for 105.
I know.
So split the difference. They're like roughly 100-win baseball team, and they add a premier bat. Yeah, that might nudge. I mean, it's close already. I think, to be fair, I'd have to nudge the Tigers.
I know we're both. The one thing about this argument, we're all coming across on like I think we're
extremes.
just and the reality is this is very tight. I've just got more questions about the Lions than I do the Tigers.
Texter says you nailed it on Goff, and another ticket texter says I've been a huge Goff guy until his last game. Now I believe he's going to choke in the big ones. That's Eric in Macomb. I said in the big ones. Not on. What else? John's laughing like a child over here. 248-539-9797.
Why you got to throw me under the bus? I'm not even saying a thing.
I know, but you're thinking it, and I know you, and I know you're
How
thinking it.
do you know what I'm thinking? I do wear it on my face.
You do.
Sorry.
And I don't want to be inside your head. It seems like a scary place with
It
all the
can
voices
be.
and everything.
Yeah, it can be.
Texter says, as it sits right now, guys, I think the Pistons are closer than the Lions. They think this should have been a Pistons-Tigers conversation. That's something.
It certainly is something.
We'll get to the Pistons with our second head-to-head here. We'll do it after Luke Sloan's update because we have to pit the Red Wings against the Pistons. Looking at the offseason, it's 97.1.